Hey, I'm Brandon. I write and draw the webcomic Danger Vision, and this very surprised-looking fellow is Frank. He writes and edits the comic, and the other day on YouTube, I got a comment from, his name is Matej Buskovic. It's spelled with some really weird symbols over a couple of the letters. Matej asks, can you please make a video on how to use Photoshop and how you draw in it, because I'm confused and other tutorials didn't teach me much. I am not good enough in Photoshop to really make any tutorials on it or anything, but I can give you the next best thing. I can walk you through my process of completing a page from start to finish and giving some suggestions and junk like that. This is a little bit different from my normal Super Death Show videos where I just time-lapse through an entire video, because there will be like some time-lapse junk going on, but I will be explaining things instead of talking about normal vlog, talking about my life type of stuff. Before we get started in making our comic page for this week, we've got to prepare ourselves, if this is your first page, because you want to think about what you want your end game to be. Now, I'm primarily talking about a long-form comic, and when you're making a long-form comic, you typically want to tell a good story and all that junk and have good art and stuff. But in the end, you want to have something physical and tangibly that you can hold in your hands, like a book. You know, whether it's going to be like a 32-page issue type of book, or if it's going to be like your entire story altogether, where it's a graphic novel. And in order to do that, you've got to prepare yourself. So you got to work at a certain DPI, and you gotta make sure that your page is in a certain type of zone for bleed offs and stuff like that. So that's what we're going to look at today. Now, I know it's a little early to be thinking about printing and all this junk, but you want to future-proof yourself, because if you start off drawing your comic at a low resolution, you can't kind of blow it back up and it'll still look good. You don't want to go back and have to redraw some of these pages, your first pages, because you want to print it suddenly. You want to already be ready for print. And since I'm kind of a nobody and I have no money, I use a POD service, print-on-demand service called Kablam. Those two comics that I showed you earlier, the thin book and the thicker book, were test prints that I did a couple years ago. Just to test out and see how, the printing looks. And it turned out looking really good, I thought, for those black and white comics. So I used their template. Now, if you use a different POD service, they might have a different template, but this is the template that I personally use. To find it on their website, their website's a little confusing. If you go over to resources, you're not going to find it unless you dig and dig. But you can go up to the top here where it says paperback pricing, click on that. It's going to give you all these options on making one of their books, but what we're worried about is choose your size over here to the left. If you click on the link technical specifications, it's going to bring you to their different templates for different types of pages. So you got your magazine size page, which is like a really huge book that you can make, and it's got your manga, or some people call it manga, size page templates. It makes a smaller one. I did do a test print of that, and I wasn't too happy with that little form factor of a comic. But the one that I use is the standard size page. It felt right. It's going to look about as big. It's going to feel about as big as a normal, like if you've picked up a Walking Dead graphic novel collection volume thing, then it's going to be about the exact same size. But once we're over here, you see this thumbnail for a little template here. We're going to click on it, and it's going to give us the high-res version of this image. So we can right-click on this and copy the image. And down here in Photoshop, we can Control-N to make a new file. Make sure the document type's clipboard, because it'll automatically give you the width and the height in pixels. And we're going to make the resolution 300 and go ahead and paste it in there. It's a little dark and it might be hard to read, so I'm going to lighten it up in the adjustments here. So explaining this template here, we've got three different colors. We've got red, yellow, and blue. The blue is your safe zone. This is where you want all of your art and your panels and your text and your speech bubbles to go. Anything outside of this has a chance of getting cut off. Your yellow is your margin area. It's kind of like the danger zone. And then the red is your definite trim line. This is where anything in here is going to be lost, most likely. So you want to keep everything enclosed in the blue box, unless you want your art to bleed off. Like if you've got an effect where you've got a panel that's going to come off of the side, that might give the effect that, this panel continues on off the page. You could do that. The main important thing is you need to set your rules and your limitations for your future comic book pages, and this is the one that I go by. The blue is where your art goes. The yellow is the danger zone. Sometimes I have speech bubbles come off of there a little bit, but the red is definitely a no-no. You don't want your stuff to go in there because it's not going to be seen by anybody. So that's pretty much it. That is your setup. One extra little thing is I use a Surface Pro to draw my comic. I flip the keyboard around backwards and I use it kind of like in tablet mode where it's flipped down and in my lap, and I use the pen on it. But the unfortunate thing about this is I don't have any side buttons, any buttons on the sides I can assign shortcuts to, like undo and delete or copy or anything like that. What I found that I like the most is radial menu. It's free. It's at radialmenu.weebly.com. It's right here, actually. The default has got undo, redo, shift, control, alt, paste, copy, and cut. And then this little bitty circle thing here looks like a pie chart and brings up extra menu stuff like save. And some of these are the same thing as what's in there, as what's in these little square boxes. These are completely editable. You can right click on here and go to settings, or you can go to the Mac editor. It's really helpful. You can make them do whatever you want. Another thing with this whole Photoshop layout thing, I keep my layers over here on the right about halfway up, and then on the right here I've got my history. That way if I misstroke or something, I can just reach over here and I'll click to go back. That's all I have right now. We're all set up. We're ready to start actually making our comic. Now, I don't have anything set up for this week. I don't have anything written. I've just got a good idea of what I want to do. So on the next video, we're going to make bullet points on certain things I want to hit in the next page. Pretty much just doing some writing on the next video. I'm going to be sketching the shots for the panels and trying to sketch out some ideas. Make sure that I'm going to be able to fit it on the page. I'm going to do some editing, make the gutters for the page, and then arranging the sketches to fit in those gutters and make everything make sense. So look forward to that in the next video, and thank you for watching this one. I will see you next time.